It really feels like Auburn's loss against Texas A&M was a turning point in the wrong way for the fan base.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Brian Smith, host of The Portal, Locked On's recruiting, NIL transfer portal show, hanging out with us on this Monday edition. Auburn will still have chances to get things right later in the season. But the more you look at this loss to Texas A&M, Brian, the worse it gets. The worse it gets. But one thing I want to kind of start with today, and I mentioned in a few of the reaction shows, and I didn't spend a ton of time on it, but this loss really seemed like a turning point for the Auburn fan base. A lot of the folks that were kind of on the fence for Hugh Freeze, a lot of the folks that were kind of on the fence for Jackson Arnold went strong in one direction. And of course, that is discussing, do changes need to be made both at head coach and at quarterback? That is a discussion that is happening really, really strongly, really, really adamantly, and really, really passionately right now. And I don't think you can blame them.
How could you not?
Yeah.
I watch about every game that you can possibly imagine, highlights, different types of film, but I didn't need to watch any of Auburn because it's two or three things every week. It's Groundhog Day. Jackson Arnold is not comfortable in the pocket. He's not comfortable pulling the trigger. And even if he's got a clean pocket on a particular play, he just doesn't look comfy at all. I don't know. I don't think he's seeing the field well, but there might be something else. I'm just guessing. But he seems to be about the most uncomfortable guy in the entire Southeastern Conference for whatever reason. And he's got one of the most ridiculous wide receiver groups in college. I covered most of these guys in some capacity. I've seen them up close live. That is the real deal. And they have the most inept offense just about in the history of Auburn offenses. That doesn't compute. So if you're frustrated, that's probably a very kind word if you're an Auburn fan. It's understandable.
Yeah. Yeah. And so obviously when you're talking about making these changes, which a lot of the fan base is saying, okay, well, if you're not going to, make the move for Hugh Freeze right now, change your quarterback out. And if you look at it, and there's been several clips that people have grabbed on social saying like, all right, Jackson had like 4.5 seconds here, and they're like circling all the open receivers on key downs too. And it's like they're right in front of him. How are they not seeing him? And it looks like he's looking at him. Like it's not good. It's not good. So I think the timing right now, if you were to make a change, is twofold. One is you have a bye week, which I think is ideally when you would at least have that discussion. And Hugh Freeze said that discussion will be had this week, assuming what he says is true in his postgame presser. He's also saying that, running the football needs to be a priority, and that clearly has not been the case. But like you've got a bye week. So if you wanted to call on Deuce, or Ashton Daniels, like, okay, that would make sense. You got an extra week now to integrate them into the game plan, into the offense. But do you want their first start at Auburn to be against Georgia? And I don't think the answer to that is yes.
Here's the problem. You don't get it right to schedule. It is what it is.
You're right.
Ironically, before this show, I was playing around on Pro Football Focus. Georgia's pass rush stinks, which I never thought I would say. It's not very good.
It's kind of wild.
I know. They lost Damon Wilson. He got bought off their roster by Missouri, flat out. By the way, you're still going to have to play him in a few weeks, but that's another story, just a different team.
Sure, right.
He is a dude. They don't have him anymore. They don't have that stand-up edge rusher, so that's one advantage, but it's probably going to be a lot of 2nd and 8s running the ball. That would be my guess. They're still massive. They still have Raywood Wilson and a bunch of guys, so Jackson's going to have to face that. I won't repeat the numbers that I've looked at and posted.
All right, I'm sorry. I got to cut you off. I know you said 2nd and 8 right there. I would take 2nd and 8 for Auburn.
Oh, yes. Dear God.
I mean, it felt like it was 2nd and 15, 2nd and 20, every single set of downs.
They either shot themselves in the foot with a dumb penalty or just some kind of goofiness, like run, somebody missed a block and a guy got smoked. You do that, by the way, if you do that against Georgia, it'll be over by halftime. You have to come up with something better there. But I don't know. Like the mental stuff, part of it's coach, part of that's gonna be on players too. Some of that was just really goofiness. But Georgia's defense is not going to be easy. You really think Jackson's going to get a whole heck of a lot better against Georgia? I don't. Now, I'm a Deuce guy, but I know him from covering recruiting. I covered Jackson a little bit, but I don't know him.
Yeah.
Deuce is one of those guys that's all shucks no matter the situation. It wouldn't matter if you put him out there against the Citadel or Georgia. As goofy as that, he's going to be Deuce.
Okay.
That's the good news. The bad news is if he starts bad, it's just going to kick you. He is who he is. He's probably going to have to learn on the fly. The win column is not going to be good this year. I think that's something that no Auburn fan wants to hear. But if I'm going to lose, I'd rather lose with the guy that is your future.
Yeah. And you got to think about transfer portal stuff as well, which we'll talk more about that in a second. I've got we'll see how much I want to share with some of the conversations that I had Sunday morning. But just the more you look at it, the more frustrated I get with everything that we've seen. So going into the season, I had Auburn going 8-4. My final preseason prediction was 8-4, with Auburn losing these 3 games in a row, losing to Oklahoma, losing to A&M, losing to Georgia. And I still had them going 8-4, but it's just the way they've lost that is so unbelievably frustrating. And also there's just lack of accountability too. I mean, Xavier Chaplin, who was the top offensive tackle in the portal, I think some places had him as the top player in the portal. He's been awful. He's been really bad from a penalty standpoint, from a pass blocking standpoint, from a holding standpoint. And at some point, like the Percy Lewis thing last year, like coming from Mississippi State to here, that was a projection thing because he didn't play a ton of Mississippi State. Xavier Chaplin looked really good at Virginia Tech. That's why he was so highly touted, is because he was proven. And just turning, what did Auburn do to him?
I don't know what the deal is, because pretty much everybody runs RPO. You talked about this about a year or so ago. He goes, we're running the same offense everybody is, pretty much. And he's not wrong. And Virginia Tech absolutely runs pretty much the same thing too.
Boy, does it look different, though. It looks different when we run it, man.
I wonder if he's healthy, like truly healthy. And I'm just going to make a little note here for everybody. Never believe injury reports, ever, ever, ever. But he may not even be telling the staff that he's hurt. Who knows?
I don't know.
But both the tackles, I mentioned this to you after the Oklahoma game, like these guys are terrible. And on top of it, even when they do pass protect well, Jackson holds the ball too long.
Right. No, there were several plays where it's like 4 or 5 seconds, and it's like, Jackson, do something.
Either throw it or take off, one or the two, because you're going to get smoked in this league, especially against Oklahoma. They got a real pass rush.
Goodness gracious. Just the more I look at it, the worse it gets. And it could get worse, Brian. It could get worse. Let's discuss that in just a moment. Right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at 5 Hour Energy. Caffeine just got a flavor upgrade. 5 Hour Energy shots deliver tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus B vitamins and nutrients, all with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. We all get to that point in the afternoon where you start to drag a little bit. You don't have to. You don't have to be like an Auburn offense. You don't have to. You can finish the drive and get in the end zone. Enough with boring, flavorless caffeine. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5 Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love or be bold and try something new in store and online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon today. Today's show also brought to you by Quo. One of the tools that help makes a huge difference for business owners is Quo, formerly Open Phone. It's the same great business phone system you've heard me talk about before on this very show, just with a new name. And here's why it matters. Every missed call is you leaving money on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. And that is what Quo can do. You can see why 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly Open Phone. Get started free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedoncollege. That is quo.com/lockedoncollege. And if you've got existing numbers with another service, Quo will port them over at no extra charge. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day, especially after this weekend. Goodness gracious. So I talked to a handful of folks Sunday. Most of them were on the defensive side of the football. And they were different levels, throughout Auburn's program. And like I'd be shocked if there wasn't some frustration on the defensive side of the football at this point, which it seemed like there was some patience for a while. And now I think that's starting to thin. And I think the conversations are happening on if Hugh Freeze is the guy or not. You're muted, Brian. I'm sure you were just slinging heat right now, though.
I'm sure there are a lot of guys that are looking at their options. And I've got some additional bad news on that front. Not meaning to throw gas on your fire. But
no, I don't think I can hurt anymore right now.
For those that don't know, the NCAA has regulated no spring window this next year, which means it's just the winter window. Well, why does that matter? Well, this is why. Everybody knows if they don't get what they need in the winter window, they're done. So the money is going to be insane. And everybody, look, I'm just being blunt here. Everybody cheats to try to steal other players' now. Let me give you a few names, and I'm not saying I have any inside, but guys like Malik Blockton, Jared Smith, or any of those freshman and sophomore players, their freshman, sophomore classes early, all those guys are going to have offers.
I'm very concerned about Auburn's guys who will be juniors next year. The
That's
rising
exactly.
Juniors.
Correct.
That class is kind of everything for this Auburn team. Like you talked about, okay, the future and paving the way for this program. It's those guys. Cam, Jay Crawford. Like you need those guys on your roster. DeMarcus Riddick, Amarish Williams, like goodness, like that's your core. And these guys want to win. And I think the defensive side of the ball has done outstanding. Like truly hold it. Any Auburn fan that wouldn't have taken A&M scoring 16 points on Saturday. Like if you told me going into Saturday that A&M's going to score 16 points, I'm like, oh, we win by like two scores. Like that, like, oh my goodness, what a masterclass by the defense. There's just no offensive identity. There's no hope. There's no trust that they're going to score. Auburn had the ball twice in the last 4 minutes, Brian, to take the lead, and they didn't get a first down. And it's like when the light's the brightest, when the stage is the biggest, there's just no faith in the ability to execute. And it's sad.
You know why? Because they never do.
They never do.
The last 3 years has been just repeat Groundhog Day. This year in particular, though, I mean, I study everybody's rosters, and I'm always fascinated with certain kinds of receivers. And I'm biased towards Cam because I got to know him at least a little bit during 7-on.
Sure.
But that's a once-in-a-generation player. Y'all wasted him.
Yeah.
I mean, definitively wasted him. And he's an Auburn guy, and he likes being close to mom and all that. But, like, if they didn't give me some kind of reassurance, I would tell Auburn to take a hike, and I'd go somewhere else if I was him after this year. He may. I mean,
how can you be an offensive playmaker and look at this as I want to play in that offense?
Exactly.
Because you can't tell them anything. You can't look at any of the guys coming back or any of the players the receivers that you're recruiting out of the high school ranks or in the portal in December, because I got to feel they're going to have to go to the portal, and tell them, hey, we're going to make sure you're targeted. They're like, okay, well, like Cam Coleman Saturday, was targeted 8 times and he got 18 yards. One was a drop. That's on Cam. Add 5 yards to it if you want. 8 targets for hypothetically 23 yards. Like what?
Let me ask you.
You can't even hold on, just give me a second. And then the other one, when you look like, okay, the way they use Eric Singleton, I thought was creative. It didn't work, but like I didn't hate what they were doing with him moving him around the formation and put him in the backfield. I didn't hate all that. Malcolm Simmons, who's a guy every week I've been predicting like he's gonna pop this week. This is the week for Malcolm. 8 targets for Malcolm, 7 total yards.
That's one of the worst.
You can make all the promises you want about we're going to get you the football, but it's like, are you? And then you can't even go to running backs. All right, Jeremiah Cobb, you're like, you're the guy. You've been really impressive since you've taken over that RB1 role. You didn't get a touch in the first quarter. No running backs got a touch in the first quarter. Jeremiah Cobb ends the game with 6 rushing attempts. Damari Alston with 2. And half of those were on like 3rd and 30, it felt like. I mean, just an absolute disaster of what player would want to play in this offense? Nobody. And we want to poop on the offensive line, which is, whatever. Like the production is the production. But if there's no threat to run, what are those edges doing, Brian? They're teeing it off every single time. And like, we want to jump on Chaplin and Mason and all these guys, which you can do whatever you want. But the play calling is awful. They're running play action on 3rd and 12, Brian, when Jackson's already like, just, doesn't have enough time and doing enough. Like, what are we doing? It makes no sense. And so for you to, in this age of college football, where not only are you having to recruit new people to join you, you're having to re-recruit your own team. What is that sales pitch like? It's not good. It's not good at all.
Well, I
thought I would feel better after that. It didn't help.
Do you know what the definition of a fire sale is?
What?
That's basically when a business is being liquidated or something like that. That's what this feels like it could turn into unless they fix the offense. Because the portal, what I just said, to reiterate, there is no spring window and everybody's trying to cheat anyway. Think of it this way. If you're a program that's like one player away, can you imagine what Texas Tech would give to have Cam Coleman for a year? You're not going to outbid him. The guy's a billionaire. That's their booster. You're going to have to figure out something here. And I'm not saying, I have no idea if Cam wants to leave. I doubt it. But all these guys are going to have offers anyway. But you have to show them a reason. You're 100% right. And at worst, you're going to lose some guys regardless, because that's just the nature. But like, how are you going to finish this recruiting class? And then how are you going to add, because everybody always has to, through the portal anyway, just traditionally.
Right.
How are you going to do that?
Right.
So that's why I think Deuce should be in the lineup to give him some. That would be the one way you could at least spark some interest, in my opinion.
Yeah, because then you get to show Cam, like, hey, this is the guy who's going to be throwing to you. Malcolm, please stay. Deuce, please don't leave. Like, goodness gracious. Yeah, I'm with you. I think you just convinced me. I think you just convinced me on the QB change thing.
Well, I am full disclosure. I am 100% biased because I know Deuce and I just like the guy.
Well, Brian, I'm 100% biased too to Auburn. I want Auburn to win.
Look, I don't think there's much you can do to fix this year's offense, because now players are pointing fingers inevitably. There's no doubt. But you need something to go right. Let me put it to you this way. If you get beat by Georgia 24-17 and you were competitive throughout and you threw the ball a little bit, nobody wants to lose, but it's Georgia. You could start something, and then you got Missouri's really good too, by the way. But somehow you got to win one of these games, and it's got to look fun.
What was the score against Georgia that you just said?
I said if they lose, let's just say it's competitive. Georgia's not the greatest offense in the world either. They're okay. They lose 24-17, you take it. Right now, I know nobody wants to hear that.
Auburn scoring 17 against Georgia right now just seems like it seems like a fever dream. Like,
I got that with Deuce.
Auburn should have scored 3 points on Saturday. Like, what an incredible play and opportunity for Xavier Chaplin. I mean, that ball was in the air for like 30 seconds, it felt like. But thank goodness X marks the spot, and thankfully he got him to the 2. So It's just tough, man. It's just tough. But, I mean, you talk about Georgia, they still have chances if they're going to turn it around. The opportunity is in front of them. And if not, I think we'll all kind of be in agreement on, what needs to happen next. That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can bet $5. And if your first $5 bet hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. There is not an Auburn, Georgia line yet. So here's the good thing is you will lose no money on Auburn this week. That's good. That's good. We cannot be hurt this week. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Brian Smith, host of The Portal, hanging out with us. Hugh Freeze has opportunities to win the fan base back over. He has the opportunities in front of him. Am I predicting that to happen at this point? I am not. But I can't be negative for 3 segments. I just can't do it. So the opportunity is there. If he somehow pulls off an upset against Georgia, I'm actually fascinated. I was about to say the fan base would be ecstatic, but I'm actually now kind of second guessing myself on what the fan base reaction would be for that. It'd be kind of interesting because I think so many people are just like emotionally done and they kind of want to move on to the next era. But they've got big games left on the schedule. I mean, if it is truly just the quarterback, which I think you and I think it's more than just that. I mean, obviously quarterback play is important, but if it is just that and it's offensive tackle play and it's play calling and they make the changes needed and they use the talent that's on the roster and they actually put players in positions to succeed on the offensive side of the football, and you beat Georgia and you beat Missouri, all of a sudden it gets interesting. But man, I feel ridiculous even saying this, Brian.
Stranger things have happened. And if there's ever a school that is topsy-turvy with wins and losses, it's the Auburn Tigers.
Sure.
Historically,
sure.
I mean, I'm way older than you. I remember that 80s and early 90s. Like it's always been that way. But
yeah,
they have a pretty talented roster. So if for whatever reason the light went on for Jackson, or I actually agree with you, Freeze, on the following. They got to run the ball, and it's got to be a priority. And for those that don't know, RPO means quarterback has discretion on run or pass. Hand it off a little more. Just throw it out there, Jackson. Just throw it out there, brother. Or take off.
There seems to be no flexibility with it. Like this was a big thing that we talked about with Peyton last year. Where it's like, give it to Jarquez Hunter. Give Jarquez Hunter the football.
A lot of teams have gone through that.
Is Hugh not in Jackson's helmet saying like, maybe run this one. I'm tired of calling plays when it's 3rd and 12. Let's win on first down for once. Or let's just not lose on first down for once. Like in most of those situations, like we were kind of being funny, but like I'd take a 2-yard run over most of the first down outcomes that we saw. And I think it would help with other things. If you want to pass it on first down, a few sets of downs later, you're helping your tackles. You're helping your receivers because all of a sudden, like when you do the whole RPO thing, or if you do play action, at least the opposing linebacker and safeties, they got to think for a step. Yeah. They got to think for just a second. Right now, you are not helping your players out at all. And we can, once again, we can point at the tackles and say, oh my goodness, we can point at the receivers. We can point at quarterback play. We can point at running backs. A lot of this, I think, is play calling. And quarterback, the holding onto the ball thing is ridiculous at this point. Like it's absolutely ridiculous.
It is.
But the play calling has been atrocious. I'm not going to throw the O-line under the bus. I'm just not doing it. I think play calling has put them in a situation to fail. And I think quarterback play has made them look worse than they actually are.
I think you summed it up pretty well. Any quarterback that holds on to the ball too long when you're looking at open receivers has the yips. I mean, I
don't want to say that about somebody, but
dude, I turned off the game right before they ended up getting the touchdown because I couldn't stand watching their offense. I mean, it's legit.
Imagine being emotionally invested in the team and watching that.
That's why I ask you on a consistent basis how much your psychiatry bill is. But it's true. I actually text him that for those who don't know.
I think this is what helps, right?
If this is helpful, I'm concerned.
Thousands to watch every day. That's what this is.
Here's the big deal, though. 1 or 2 plays can change a guy, but how do you get the right play call to do that? Because he just doesn't seem comfy. There are plays where, like, they'll show it like an overhead shot on TV or whatever. Nobody can cover Cam anyway. Let it go. If he drops it, he drops it. He doesn't have Jerry Rice's hands, but he's still a 6'4" condor. And he's going to get more PIs than about anybody in college football not named Jeremiah Smith. So let it fly. And then secondarily, you've already said, hand the ball.
Yeah.
Take pressure off yourself, brother.
Yeah, and if you don't believe in your passing game or whatever, like, okay, there's still ways to do this that are better than what you're currently doing. Become a team a run-first team, run downhill. You have the line to do it. You have the offensive line to become a running football team. You have the backs and you have the depth in the running back room to do that as well. And you also could use Jackson as a runner, like, because he's confident when it comes to running, especially when it's like reads or whatever. Like, he's confident when it comes to that. And so do that. Be a team that wants to run the football and play good defense. You can win games doing that.
There's nothing wrong with any of those thoughts. And again, even if it's just in the red zone, you can be generic as all get out. You've got minimum 3 guys who are going to play in the NFL at wide receiver. You can throw fade balls and slants and a few screens. I mean, there's hike and throw plays where there's no read, really. Okay, he's playing inside leverage, we throw the fade. He's playing outside leverage, we throw the slant. Nobody's guarding these guys. I would really make it simple. Almost like Tennessee's offense where they run about 4 routes. Because I just don't think Jackson.
And then Heupel runs the ball.
That is one thing.
They dress it up like Heupel is a power run. That's what they did with Sampson last year.
Sampson was a dude. They did a great job.
Yeah, he was really good. He was really good.
Wes were the 2 best running backs in the league last year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would do. But I would also do it with Deuce incorporated into the offense in some capacity. How much? I don't know. But he would play if I was coaching.
Would he start if you were coaching?
If he acted right this week, because again, you mentioned the most important news. It's the bye week. If you make a change of any kind, you got 2 weeks instead of 1. How does he react to plays on the chalkboard? What do you want to run? That's how they set up game plans. If you're comfy, at worst, he gets a package. He gets a series, something like that. At worst.
Would you pull the tackles?
Well,
or left tackle?
This is the same question that I always ask when somebody says, we got to fire the coach. I always ask them the next. Who you hiring? Well, who's going to replace him?
Well, Dylan Wade has played tackle multiple years at Auburn. So you could scoot him out and either put, DeAndre Carter at left guard, or you could put Too Tall at left guard, or you could put Mason Murphy at guard and put Too Tall at right tackle. You also could put just Too Tall at left tackle. So I actually think it's in a unique spot where I actually think there are options on the O-line that aren't worse than what we've seen. We've got 2 years of Too Tall. Too Tall's never done that. And I'm a Too Tall guy. I predicted Too Tall to win a starting job, and I was wrong on that. But I'm an Xavier Miller guy. I think he's good. So maybe I'm biased on that. But I just don't – he's not going to jump off sides every other drive. I'll tell you that.
They have to try something different up there, at least in practice. And if it doesn't work early in the game with the starters, you got to go. You got to try something.
Well, there's a level of accountability here too,
100%,
right?
100%.
Like, what kind of message are you sending, keeping him in there after all that? Not a good one.
Young players in particular, seeing that, ain't gonna hang out. That portal opens in December, brother. Just saying.
All right. Wow. What a positive half hour. How can people check out everything you've got going on?
Locked on the Portal, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and everywhere you get your podcast. And you can check me out on X at FBScout_Florida.
Yeah. Let's have a conversation later in the week, Brian, if you'll come back. Making the case for Deuce Night. The Deuce Night era to start at Auburn. Let's do that later in the week. Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.